Okay, so if you guys did not see my post, or if you are not watching on YouTube, I did take a week off because looking at the views or lack thereof, there were no views on last week's video, so I'm just going back to the randomized topics where I put American Idol and stuff at the pre-gab, and then we're gonna talk about a topic. So if you guys are interested in the American Idol stuff, you can still hear about it, but it's not gonna be a whole episode where you have to sit through the whole thing. So I do want to catch up though real quick in this episode, so the pre-gap's gonna be a little longer. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on some stuff, getting ready, but so catching you up on American Idol, I'm gonna start with that, and then I'm gonna go into something else, and then I'm gonna go into our topic for the day. So we had 2 weeks worth of shows that I want to talk about, and tonight, as I'm filming, there's going to be the beginning of Hollywood Week. I'm going to miss it. I'm working, but I will check out the performances on YouTube, so I'll at least be able to see what everybody's saying and stuff, and come back with that next week. And it may not have like a full-on topic every week. I may just like talk about that and then like talk about what I'm reading. If you guys are interested, I'm going to go into that too. Let me know if you are on YouTube. You can also make comments on the podcast as well. You can go ahead and make a comment down there too. Let me know if you're interested in doing kind of like a reading section. I'm going to start doing it. Let me know if you like it. So going back to 2 weeks ago, I'm really only going to do like any standout moments. So we had Drew Rynn, who sang an original song called Walk on Water that I thought was really good. I'm excited to see what she does. She was on the X Factor like back in the day, and I don't remember what place she got. I want to say she got like 5th place, which isn't too bad. But I really see her going far in this competition because she's very, very good. She's really done a lot of work and grown a lot as a singer, and I think that it's gonna be really good to see. And then this week we had Khalil Knight singing And I Am Telling You from Dreamgirls. Why was she 17 and she sounded like she was like 30? That was... I mean, she could have starred in the show. Like, that would have been a perfect audition for her to make it to the show. Like, that was it. So good. I just cannot wait to see what else she's got. But that's really all I'm gonna do as far as like American Idol. I'm gonna keep it to like that kind of stuff. But what I want to do before I get my makeup on, if you are watching on YouTube, I want to show you Sunrise on the Reaping did come. My nails actually matched the book, which I did not plan on this, but looks pretty good. This cover is so unique and cool, and this has something to do with the story, which I was hoping that it did, because I was like, I don't understand. It's making sense. I am here in the book a little bit less than halfway through. It's incredible. It's a great book. It is connecting the stories. It is making everything make sense. I'm really enjoying it. One thing that has been running through my mind while reading it is how connected I had become after reading Ballad to Lucy Gray. I really feel like that character is such a great character, and I know we probably won't ever hear from her again, but we did hear whispers of her in some of the characters, and it made me happy. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it and going into the rest of the series now, understanding so much more about like the background of it. I wish people would read it that way. If you haven't read it that way, I read Ballad first, then I'm reading Sunrise, then I'm gonna do the initial Hunger Games series that came out long ago. I'm really enjoying doing it that way. I think it just brings the story together so much. And I just think that it brings such a cohesion to the story. It really brings a lot of the like subtle nuances that, like, as somebody who, I was 17 when the Hunger Games came out, the book in 07. I was, no, 08. Yeah, I would have been like 16, 17. And I didn't hear about it. Going back to that time, there wasn't a lot of talk about books on social media. Social media wasn't that. And so for me as an avid reader, it was like not something that I really knew about. I didn't hang out with really anybody. But especially anybody who would have, read books. Let's be honest. The kind of people that I hung out with were not avid readers. Which is funny because I was an avid reader, but I think it was just the environment that I was in. It wasn't something that was happening. But when the movie came out, I saw the movie first. So, as someone who saw the movie first, was not expecting to fall in love with the book as much as I did. So, anyway, if you guys are interested, I will, not only this series, but any book that I read, if you are interested, let me know in the comments, and we will continue this sort of book section of our discussion. We'll talk about all types of books that I am currently reading, books that I have read. If you're interested, let me know, because I have a couple books that I think are really interesting, and not only for what I call leisure reading, which means like reading in your own time, when there's nothing else going on, kind of reading. And then also like reading for like devotional and like learning in that sense. If you're interested, let me know, because I have a couple. And with that, I want to go into our topic for the day. So I want to preface by saying, how should I put it? I don't want to be, like, pushy about anything, but these are some observations that I've made that I think for me are really starting to make a lot of sense in my mind. So, a lot of us who were raised in a Christian home, we have certain things that we learned as we grew and as we went to church and things, and it's something that has really been a topic of conversation for me. Things that I think are very interesting to talk about. So, kind of setting it up, if you will. So, basically, in the sense of your day-to-day life, like the stuff that like you do on a regular basis. We're being told, right? Like if you're following my thought process, okay, it's gonna kind of, I guess you could say it may contradict a little bit here and there, but if you follow what I'm saying, okay, we're told to, and maybe this isn't the language of every situation, but let me know if this is something that you heard. And me and my mom talked about this a lot, actually, over the last couple weeks. And it's funny because there was something else that I wrote down, and I wish that I would have sent it to myself, so that I had it, but I didn't. And I don't know the exact way that I was wording it, but the gist. Okay, so we're told to seek things of God, right? So we're told to, do this, do that, right? But it's like we're looking to what we can get from God instead of wanting God. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so it says in Matthew 6:33 that we seek the kingdom of God and everything else is going to be added, right? Well, what does it mean though? Like, because like, okay, some people could say, well, yeah, that's that. Well, but no, because it's not so much about that. Like, because, well, what is we think of a kingdom, we think of, a castle, we think of the whole thing, right? But it basically, it's like, well, then somebody who is like married to royalty, right? Well, that's kind of like telling somebody that it's okay if they married the person because they wanted to live in a castle. Like, you go find, the the prince and go, marry him so you can live in the castle. When it should be like, well, no, they fell in love and that's, and I know in those situations, usually it doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with arranged marriages and stuff, but don't come at me with that. We want to talk about the meaning of that. So for me, it's like, okay, yeah, so let's be honest. We all like stuff. And we all like the fact that, prayer works. Prayer is real, right? We like that. But what if, instead of getting caught up in that, I'm not saying don't do it, because obviously, but in saying that, I'm saying, what if we took the time to be like, today, I'm not going to ask anything. I'm not going to get caught up in what I need, because I already know that he knows what I need. So if my life is based on just being like, hey, let's have a good day, hey, let's just push through this day, right? And we continue to be like, God, just guide me, lead me. And then we take the time to, throughout the day, be like, there's something there. What is it? And we can hear those subtle notes that, we get, like, okay. And we can learn, like, where to go, what places we need to be and where we need to not be. Where we need to pay attention. Quick story. This was way before this kind of even came to my mind. This was not even a blip on the radar, if you will, at this point in time. I was at work. Some of you know I work at a place where they sell animals. Different animals. And one of them are parakeets. Parakeets are little birds that don't get locked up at our store. They are in a cage, of course, but they don't have a lock on them. I don't know why. There's got to be a reason, but I don't know the reason, and it's not up to me. But regardless, point being, there was a very rowdy set of youngsters that came into the store. And at the moment, it was quiet, and I don't remember what day it was, but it was quiet. Whatever. Regardless, it was quiet. Not really many people in the store at the moment. Thankfully, no hustle bustle. That can happen. Again, thankfully. And I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. And felt like I noticed something. So I turned my head and I thought I saw a bird And I said, what is that? And didn't really think much else after, or until after, I should say. Didn't really think much, but then I just kept like, I need to go check around the corner. Did you not heard the words go around the corner? I'm not messing with you guys. And went around the corner and it was a parakeet. A cute little green parakeet, and somebody had left the door open to the cage, or open to the cage. The rowdy youngsters thought it would be funny and went for it. And, we caught them. Everybody was good. Again, it was quiet, so the door wasn't opening or anything. So we had, time to catch them, get them back where they needed to be. Everybody was good. Okay, I just could not get that out of my mind. That here's a situation where if I wouldn't have been paying attention and somebody who was working that night had gone to get a drink from the little restaurant next door to us, and would have come back in the door as that bird would have been flying around, and we would have lost it into the night, and it would have been hurt, which is terrible. And secondly, we would have lost money, which is terrible. So, not only did the situation get rectified and we were able to sell said bird, hopefully it was okay. I don't know. I didn't hear anything else other than the bird was fine and even got sold. So I don't know if it ever came back. I don't know. It's been a while, so wouldn't have known. But my point. Okay, I wasn't even trying to be like, oh God, let me know when, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't. This was a situation where I just went around the corner. And I was like, I should go around the corner. I need to. And so, with that being said, how many times do we, put so much significance on, oh, we need to get together and we need to pray so we know, and we need to, when literally it's just your life. Just live your life. Like, if you live your life talking to him like normal, just talk to God like normal, you'll find that you get your answer normal. And it's like, it sounds so simple, but it honestly, it's us. Like, we make it complicated. Like, we make it worse. So, with that being said, I think that it means so much more in those moments when we realize, like, oh wow, I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't even, and we find that time so much more important. Those things stick out to us so much more than when we sat for 2 hours and did the things and said the things, and half the time that doesn't bring anything. The things that are the results are the moments when we're like, wow, I wasn't even thinking about it. So, in saying that, I do believe that it's more important. And, not dogging anybody, but, you have churches that will just sit there and be like, oh, you need to do this and that and the other, and then you need to, and it's like, those are the same people who will try to make an excuse when something goes wrong. And I just think we could do so much better in the grand scheme of things. It makes so much more of a difference going into the more serious parts of life. Like, if you just do it out of the mundane parts of just every day, just being like, hey, you know what? I'm not focusing on what I need. I'm not focusing on what I want. I'm focusing on just thanking God for every day and thanking God for being there and being like, what do you want to say? Like, what do you have to say? Is there something that I need to know? Is there something that I need to stay away from? Is there something that I need to change about my schedule? Is there something that I need to work on? Is there something that is more important today? And you find it as you go, and you come closer into that place of like the practical side of living for God. And it's not about being better than anybody else. It's not about being, how should I put it? Like living in this place of, oh, well, I don't do that. It's about living in a place of, I see that you do that, and I see that, I see this, I see that. I understand the reasoning and, whatever. It's just not something that I want to do. Or, oh, well, you just want to tell me blah, blah, blah. No, no, I don't. I just want to not do that. Or I want to do it this way. I want to, not respond that way, and I want to not live life in such a way. And when you make it more of a practical life choice, that's when people start to be like, oh, well, that's not, that's fine. And it doesn't always have to be that you then sit down and be like, well, this is this and that is that and blah, blah, blah. Because, it also talks about in the Bible how, sometimes people will plant a seed, sometimes people will water a seed, and sometimes people will watch it grow. So, like, if you're not the one to watch it grow, but you're the one to plant the seed, put the thought in the head, if you will, for lack of a better way to say it, because we don't want to sound creepy. But like to start the thinking, if you will, then that's fine. If we feel like we need to say more than that, then we're probably the one watering the seed. If we feel like we need to continue in the life course, if you will, with the person, and we keep ending up with them, then maybe possibly. But again, it only really works if you're somebody who lives life like following and being serious about your relationship with the Lord being practical and daily life practice, if you will. And I'm not even saying like the typical pray an hour, read an hour, do all the things. I'm saying like, as I said before, like just normal, everyday, like it doesn't even have to be 100% out loud. As women, we tend to think more than we say, I think, in my opinion and in my experience. I tend to think more than I say, and so nowadays a lot of my thoughts are like their own little prayer. And so for me, that's where I do that. And somebody else might do it a little different. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be, anything fancy. And that's the point. It just has to be sincere, and it has to be, again, like I said, not toward what you can get, but who God is and who He made you to be, and how you interact. So I really believe it's always going to be different because not everybody interacts the same way. Sometimes people are a little more simplistic. Sometimes people take a little more time. Sometimes people are a little more emotions oriented. Sometimes people are a little more like, I don't know, like, I say subdued, but it's still not quite the word that I'm searching for, but I use it for lack of a better term. It's just more simplistic. And for me, that's me. Like I'm a more simplistic kind of person, especially nowadays. Oh my god. The things that I used to do that now I'm just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter. And I'm so glad, so glad that I moved into that because it's so much more peaceful. I am in so much better of a headspace. Just finding my pace, if you will, in things, and then just going with that. Like, it's just. It's just a lot. So again, I might not have the most to talk about every episode. It might not be as deep, but I am going to go back to this setup where, like I said, we talk about more randomized things and we put the other stuff more as like a quick intro. I'm not going to not talk about the things that I enjoy, like American Idol. But it's not going to be a whole episode because I don't think that many people really were interested. And so with that being said, I'm going to keep it more interesting for the whole while still maintaining my personal preference. So with that being said, it's really not so much about what I'm going to be talking about now, just that I'm going to be trying to keep things more lifestyle oriented. Not that I do anything crazy exciting, I don't, but it's still, it's like I'm led to do this, and I want to do it in a way that's going to impact the most, and I'm doing it in a way that is going to work with my schedule the most, and I'm also doing it in the way that's going to be like enjoyable. So I'm finishing up, but I am probably going to take a break over Resurrection Weekend, just because that's a significant day and I just want to experience it that way. I may upload something about it, but I am not expecting to do anything crazy, so probably mostly will just be pictures if I do anything. Just because it's not really a day where I do much anymore. If I work, I work. If I don't, then I do absolutely nothing. So it just depends on everything. I did give notice that I can work because, why not? But, we'll be taking a break then. But other than that, I will try my best to have something to say every week. And, at least. So I can kind of talk about what I'm reading and stuff. Keep this up as long as I possibly can. If I continue to get no views, then maybe this might be the end. I don't know. It depends on who actually views, because I really honestly am taking time that I could use, but I'm also kind of doing this anyway, getting ready. And so, with that being said, it kind of comes together to sort of make the most sense of when I do it. So it's not like I'm slacking off other things. It's just meaning that, to do this and get no views, to take the time to try and get this out and then get no views is kind of not worth my time. So it will depend on all of the lovely people who do view to keep this up. So we will see. We will see. I will make announcements as time goes on and get to see how everything goes. At least for the duration, I'm here. So thank you for the views that I have gotten, and I'm sorry that you guys didn't like the American Idol episodes. We're not doing that anymore. If you did, like I said, I'm still going to talk about it in the pre-gab, but that way it's not a full episode where people who didn't like it won't want to watch. And seeing as I got 0 views on last week's episode, as I said, then we clearly have lost that spark for American Idol. Which is fine. We will come back and we will continue the trajectory of other topics. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you'd like me to touch on, if there are things that you would like to hear, again, there is a comment section down in the podcast. Give me a comment on YouTube. Let me know what's a question you have, what's something you really, really want to know about. I have some things that I can talk about, that I think will be interesting. Gonna research a little bit and kind of go in the direction as I go. But I'm thinking this is gonna get stronger as it goes in this format with this premise. I think it'll be much, much better. So I do want to thank you so much for tuning in, and tune in next time. I've been talking way too long now. And maybe this is better. Maybe this kind of a setup is better because I can just kind of talk about what I'm thinking about. Maybe that's better. Kind of like the typical podcast thing, only I don't have any friends or anybody, so nobody wants to talk with me. But that's okay, because there would be way too much to go through to figure that out. So we'll just stick with this. We'll stick with one. And yeah. So tune in next time, guys. Okay, keep tuning in, sharing, liking, all of that. Bye.